Well, good morning and welcome to the Red Net Show, where it's always morning, even in the afternoon. I am your host, Jay Edgar, and I'm joined on the other end of the screen today by guest hosts sitting in for the fact that our wonderful co-hostess that's normally here is out camping today, John from the Generational Gap. John, welcome back to the Red Net Show.
Thanks, man. Always good to be here.
Yeah, it's kind of glad to have you come in here and join us here and talk about the news for the week, of which there was quite a bit, so we'll be talking a bit about what's going on with that today. And there is quite a bit to go, and we are losing frames once again, so we're going to have to power through this and figure out what the fuck is going on with this. But, well, new system, new equipment, and some of the other stuff that we're going to have to go through as well. But the news stops for nobody, so we will see what happens with this third of the frames that we're going through and go from there, because we've got a bunch of stuff to get to. But before we get into that here, because you are a guest here and we have some new audience here, some new stuff coming back with us, why don't you tell the audience a bit about yourself?
Yeah, of course. I'm John. I'm one half of the Generational Gap podcast on YouTube. And we talk about kind of the same thing Ed talks about: news, philosophy, current events, politics, all that boring nerd stuff. And we stream 3 times a week: Monday, Wednesday, Friday. All times 9:30 p.m. Eastern time now. We changed up our Friday show, so now we're 9:30 across the board.
Oh, is that because your co-host is moving, or what's going on with that?
It's just because it's not fair to other people to be like, oh yeah, we're live 9:30 every day except for one, which is 8:30. So you better remember to be there. You know what I mean? It's just 9:30 across the board makes it easier for everyone.
Yeah, I remember that too, because I was always confused because, coming in on a Friday night, especially when you guys asked me to come in and fill in every once in a while, it was the same thing. It's like, okay, I work till 7 and now it's 7:30. And they're expecting me to be up there and everything. But, that's going to be good. I think that's going to be well for you. Get more into the late night show period as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited about that change.
Yeah, well, hopefully you're excited about some of the news that went on this week too, because there is a lot to get to today. Looks like we saw yet another shooting, a couple shootings this week actually pop up. And a possible false flag. I'll be talking about that tomorrow on Contemporary as I look a little bit more into that. But we saw one at a train yard in California, in San Jose, and then one down in your neck of the woods this week as well, a little bit further south than you, but over in the Miami area. There's a developing situation on a shooting that happened there I talked about this morning. So we'll talk a bit about what that is, what that means, and what that's going to mean going forward as far as what it's going to happen with gun rights. Speaking of gun rights, David Shipman went through a little bit of a tough briefing this past week, so we'll talk a bit about that, including some of his instances that went along with Mr. Tom Cotton, who was grilling him in a couple different videos I've got to show you here, so we'll talk a bit about what's going on with that. The January 6th Commission came up and then died in the Senate this week, so we'll talk a bit about what got there, how we got from one place to the other. We do have a little bit of video to go over with that as well, and what this could mean for the filibuster going forward. I know they're trying very, very hard to push this as hard as they can to get rid of it, so we'll talk a bit about that. And almost a forgotten piece of news this week, there was a plane that was bound for, I forget where it was, headed in Eastern Europe, not Eastern Russia. There was a plane that was headed for somewhere in Eastern Europe. It got diverted and sent back over to Belarus. So we'll talk a bit about what happened with that and what that means for freedom of speech around the world. We've had a chance a little bit more to look into this week instead of, this was just brand new and fresh when Elaine and I talked about this last week. So we'll talk a bit about more in detail on that. Joe Biden continues in all of his great Joe Biden goodness, so we'll talk a bit about that, including a very, very creepy video that he put out this past week, or he didn't put it out, but it got leaked out about him, so we'll talk a bit about that, plus a $6 trillion spending package that could be coming out of the Biden administration, and guess what? It doesn't include student loan forgiveness. So we'll go a little bit over that as well. We'll close out the show with a little bit of news about our friends over on the other side of the world in China. So we'll talk a bit about that and the fact that we can possibly start talking about the Wuhan lab leak and not be called crazy conspiracy theorists. So there's going to be that. We'll talk a bit about that and a cringy video that you already know what's coming because I used that to test the audio coming up over here, featuring one John Cena. So we'll listen to that. Plus, I got a double dose of surprise stupidity for you. There were two, and I couldn't decide. I just looked at
Hey,
this.
fair
I'm like,
enough.
I can't decide. So we'll hit them both. We'll see what's going on with both of them, and we will go from there. It's going to be all of this and more over on the Red Ned Show. Thanks for coming by, hanging out with us as we stream live to YouTube, D Live, Twitch, Periscope, Trovo, and both my Facebook and my wonderful co-host Elaine's Facebook as well. She is out camping or just finishing up right now, so she can't be joining with us, but make sure that you guys remind her that you are there, or she's there in your prayers as well. So go back over and say hey to her. Otherwise, if you can't catch us live, you can catch us back on demand over on YouTube and over on BitChute.com. Go check us out on either of those platforms, or you can find us over on the audio platforms, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher. And if there is any other audio platform that you would like to see us on, just let me know, leave me a note, and I will go and check it out and see what it takes to put us into that audio platform. So, we're still losing a few frames here, so we'll figure out what's going on with that. I'll probably have to call Spectrum and just say, hey, what the fuck? But it's not as bad as it was this morning. Definitely not. But the
Yeah,
news
it's not
stops
too
for nobody.
terrible.
Yeah. And we have got to get into this here. So, a couple of news stories to catch up with this week. Starting with this one here, out of the Hill. Iranian warships possibly headed to Venezuelan reportedly spark U.S. concerns. So, I read this morning, and the first thing that I thought was, could we be seeing another Cuban missile crisis? Did you see anything on this one?
I haven't, no, but that is pretty concerning. I wonder why Venezuela, though. I mean, I'm not a big geopolitics kind of mind, but just I'm not sure what the connection between those two are.
Well, what I was reading about this morning is it does seem to be oil related,
Mm,
meaning that when they look into the fact that Iran's got the oil and Venezuela's economy was basically held up by oil refining for almost its entire socialist run.
right. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense.
So that seems to be one hand washing the other. Plus, both countries are fairly excised from the rest of the world stage. So there's that going on with them as well. So,
Mm.
but I mean, that makes the relationship. But now the fact that there are warships going across the ocean to each other, that is a little bit concerning.
Yeah, that is definitely concerning.
Now I could see an oil tanker. Yeah, that's nothing to really talk about, think about, or anything else like that. But
Sure.
yeah, warships, something to watch. And
Yeah.
nobody knows what's going on with it yet, but it's definitely something to go back and watch. So we will come back and keep an eye on that. Let's see, what else do we have here? Kamala Harris had a nice, interesting conversation this week
Hmm.
because she put this tweet out, which, I mean, it's not that bad, but it rose up to one of those conversations of what would it be if somebody from the other side did this. The tweet, of course, reads, "Enjoy the long weekend," with a picture of Kamala Harris's face. And yeah, what do
Yeah,
you
it's
think would be?
definitely.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's definitely kind of like self-aggrandizing. I mean, this is the second picture that I've seen. I think there's a few of them though, where she's just looking off to the left.
Hmm.
So like, there's that one where she's on the plane, looking out the window. Like, it seems like they really want to show off that side of her, like just that profile view of her. It seems to be a lot of pictures like that.
Catch your good
So
side.
there's that. Yeah, exactly. Like that's her good side, I guess. I mean, and fair enough, it does make her look better than looking at her straight ahead. So who knows? But yeah, that was it's a pretty unpopular tweet, and I mean, it came out yesterday, so it wasn't really Memorial Day. I guess it was just mostly that people were annoyed that she didn't say anything about the troops or whatever.
And that does
I don't
seem
know.
to
I
be the
wasn't really that outraged by it. I really wasn't.
yeah, that does seem to be the big issue. And I don't really care that much either, except for I mean, it is the whataboutism that comes with this because if this was the other side, that
Mm-hmm.
person would be excoriated for it. So
Right, but I mean,
definitely
the
so.
the problem with I was gonna say the problem with the whataboutism is like they don't care. So if you're like, oh well, this was the other side, but you're not. I mean, who are you saying that to, right? If you're saying that to anyone on the left or Democrats, they don't care that it's different. They don't care that it's a double standard. And then if you're saying it to the other side, they're like, yeah, I know. So I mean, you know what I mean? There's really no point in the whataboutism there.
Oh, there's always a point, and it's always something you have to go back and go and check out with that. Moving on, talking about Michigan. Whitmer is looking like she is going to be facing a recall coming up here. According to Fox 17 out of West Michigan, Whitmer recall petitions can move forward, face a tall order due to the law change. So, according to the law in Michigan, in order to get a recall pushed through, you have to get signatures from a quarter of the people who voted in the last election. And I believe it is a quarter of all the people who voted, not just a quarter of the people who voted for Whitmer. So,
Right.
there were 4.2 million people who voted in Michigan's 2018 election. So that's nearly 1.1 million signatures. But I mean, this is a Democrat too, keep in mind. So it's not just about whether or not it is going to be 1.1 million signatures. We've got to have almost 2 million signatures because they're actually going to be going through them with a a microscope and saying, hey, Karen Smith's signature, that loop in the M, that second loop, that's a little bit extra wide. We're going to have to throw this one out because it can't be valid.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think about this one?
Election integrity is going to be extremely important during that time. It's going to be the most fortified and most secure recall that there has ever been. Like, I promise you that. Yeah, you're 100% right about that. I mean, obviously, I think any politician should be recalled, by the way, just any of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just in general, I'm down for that. So, yeah, good on them. And she was kind of a tyrant. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I mean,
not sad at all to see her go. She does.
I do remember the Walker recall over here in my state, and it was almost the opposite thing. It was they got signatures left and right, but you had people on TV bragging about the fact that, I went out and I signed the petition at 50 different signing stations, 50 different times, and other people
Yeah.
out there signing Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, all this kind of fun stuff. So,
Yeah.
oh, I
So
didn't
as
put the
someone
YouTube
who's
stream up. God damn it! I forgot about that. Must be a different link. No, I
yeah,
know
it's a
it's a
different
different
link.
link.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to I
Yeah.
forgot to set that in the restream. That's my
Oh
bad.
no, I hate it when that happens, man. I've done that too. Um, I know Robert's done that a bunch of times too.
Yeah.
Uh, but no, no. So yeah, as someone I've done petitions before, not for like recalling a politician, but for other things, I've done petitions, and
Hmm.
they're pretty stringent, at least in Florida, about like verifying signatures. So like when I was doing it, you had to show ID and like your voter card in order to
Hmm.
sign this petition. No, what it was for like an official, put it on the ballot. It was the medical marijuana, like putting that on the ballot for Florida. So they checked everything. You had to check the ID. They had to do it twice. So they had to put their voter ID down, and they had to sign twice, like two different pieces of paper, in order to be counted as a signature. Like each signature was one page, like an actual like page of the petition.
Okay.
People weren't just putting down whatever they wanted. So there is a system. I don't know what they're using it there, but there is a system for protecting, or at least verifying, legal signatures.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see if this goes through. We'll see if any of this happens or not. You ready to get a little bit of closure on a news story?
Like absolutely,
Okay. We don't get that very often in today's political climate anymore, but we've
not at
got
all.
this one here. Actually, I want to bring this up here and do that one. Okay, maybe that's not going to work. Oh, that's why it's not going to work because I don't have it turned on. So we've got this one here from the Dissociated Press. Farm laborer convicted in 2018 stabbing death of Iowa runner. Now, that's not to be confused with a jogger. Keep that in mind.
Right.
But apparently the Molly Tibbetts, is it Molly Tibbetts story? Yeah, the Molly Tibbetts story is coming to an end. And Christian Bahena Riviera is found guilty of first-degree murder in the attack on the University of Iowa student who was described as so kind and friendly that investigators could find no one who spoke badly about her. Did you see any of this week?
I did, yeah. Yeah, I did. Which is, I'm glad that there's, closure. Obviously, I'm glad that we're actually seeing something being done, which is nice. Nice little
Yeah,
change.
and this guy, I mean, they're not going to deport him, which is actually probably not a bad
Of
thing
course.
either because, he goes back to wherever he comes from. And I don't even know what country he actually came from, but he goes back to there and, they don't recognize the charges that were laid against him here. And, then he just goes walking around.
Yeah, and then he comes back.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So good to get some closure on that one. And I know a lot of people are happy to see that one here. We've got this one here out of California. So, from California, cash for COVID shots. California unveils $116 million giveaway to people getting or already vaccinated. So, this is California Governor Gavin Newsom on Thursday, who's also facing down a recall, in which they got enough signatures, unveiled a $116.5 million incentive program that would offer cash prizes to people getting a COVID vaccine, including a $15 million cash prize that would be split between 10 people. Newsom announced the program as part of California's push to get millions more inoculated before the most populous U.S. state fully reopens next month, calling it the most significant incentive program in the United States of America. What do you think about this?
I think people are stupid. I mean, if someone can dangle your own money in front of you and be like, "Here, you want this? Get this mystery shot, and I'll give you some of your money back." Like, oh my god, dude, no, just give me my money back. Like, it's my money. It's not your money. Uh, oh my god, yeah, no, people are stupid, and that's ridiculous.
It's like J.G. Wentworth. It's my money and I want it now. You
Right,
probably don't get
exactly.
those commercials down there. Actually,
Oh yeah,
that's
no, we
probably a
do.
local. Oh, I thought that
No,
was a
it's not a
local
local
thing.
thing. Yeah, we absolutely do. Yeah, I think that's a national thing.
Oh, it might be.
It must be.
All right, Mayor Deadfoot is back in the news this week. From Fox 32 out of Chicago, Mayor Lightfoot sued for only giving anniversary interviews to journalists of color. And unpopular opinion, I actually disagree with this. Because, really, honestly, I think she's got freedom of association. And I don't think anybody has a right to anybody else's labor just as much as anything else.
Right.
But, really, honestly, it is telling. Just, go let her off and be a racist. Wherever the hell she wants to be a racist. But,
Right. No, I mean, I oh, go
oh,
ahead.
I was going to say, I'm just going to read a couple details about this one here.
Okay.
Mayor Lightfoot is facing a lawsuit after a controversial announcement to only give one-on-one interviews to journalists of color. Thomas Catenacci, a reporter with the right-wing news site called The Daily Caller, is suing Lightfoot in the wake of what he calls a violation of his First and 14th Amendment rights. So, what's your take on
Hmm.
this one?
Um. So I agree with your take for the most part, other than the fact that you don't have a right to her time, because I think she's one of the few people that you do actually have the right to their labor, because she is a public servant. She's an
Mm-hmm.
elected official, so you do have a right to her time or labor. She's elected herself into that position. So yeah, that's the only thing I would disagree with. Everything else, yeah, no, I'm fine with that as long as we can not have a double standard, right? I mean, if that was applied across the board, then I'm perfectly fine with that. Give interviews to whoever you want. Don't give interviews to whoever you want, but don't bitch when someone else does the same thing.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well,
It's very simple.
I guess we'll see what's happening with that and where that goes. Let's see. I've got this one here. From NorthJersey.com, which is a division of USA Today, you could tell by their fancy fonts and everything else that goes with this. Postal worker admits dumping New Jersey election ballots into garbage. A U.S. postal worker from Hudson County admitted Thursday to dumping 99 election ballots from North Jersey into the trash last year, officials said. Nicholas Beauchain, 26 of Kearney, pleaded guilty after about 1,875 pieces of mail, including 99 general election ballots intended for West Orange and Orange, were found in dumpsters in North Arlington and West Orange in fall of 2020, acting U.S. Attorney Rachel Honig said. Now, I've read into this a bit over on Contemporary. It does not look like he did this with political means. Like, this was just a general, I'm dumping ballots because I'm a badass kind of thing. It wasn't political. He wasn't doing this for simply the sake of, I'm going to sway the election one direction or the other. But it does beg the question of what do they think is going to happen when you add that extra link in the chain of custody that goes along with these things. But I want to see what
Yeah.
you thought of this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's confirming things that we already knew, right? We
Mm-hmm.
already knew ballots were being thrown out, they were being burned, they were being, dumped into, not rivers, what's the thing called? Like,
The
like
ditches.
ditches?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ditches on the side of the road. They've been tossed in there. Yeah, I mean, this is part of the no widespread voter fraud. Like obviously there was a little bit. There's these stories that we can't ignore, but it's not enough to change the election. Until of course they keep coming out with more and more, and people keep
Mm-hmm.
confessing to more and more, and then eventually, obviously, that adds up. But I think it's all moot now. Biden is the president. There's nothing you can do about that. They're not gonna. Trump's not gonna be president again. Like I'm sorry, he's just not. It sucks, but he's not gonna be president again.
Him and his fucking honkler presidency.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'm
Ah.
not saying that it's legitimate. I'm just saying that Biden is obviously the president. There's
Mm-hmm.
no like debate about that. Whether it's legitimate or not is we can talk about that. But there's no doubt that he's there. He's the one. Right?
This one I found very entertaining when I heard it for the first time. From the New York Post, Atlanta Councilman Antonio Brown, who voted to defund the police, has his car stolen. And
Oh man.
Atlanta mayoral candidate, who voted to sequester $73 million from the city's police department budget, reportedly had his car stolen by a group of young thieves this week and wound up thanking the cops for their help. City Council member Antonio Brown had just gotten out of his white Mercedes coupe, because of course it was a white Mercedes coupe, to speak to fellow community leader Ben Norman in the Northwest Atlanta's Dixie Hills community Wednesday, when he spotted 4 or 5 kids, the youngest only 6 or 7, WAGA TV reported. The children were walking around a
Jesus.
store, and within seconds they were inside Brown's car.
Would he leave the car on? Like, oh my god.
Apparently.
Oh my god. How many of these kids watched what is it, Bait Car? Have you seen that show?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's the dumbest thing. So it should totally be illegal, by the way. This should be absolutely illegal. But what they do is they'll it's a cop operation, it's a sting operation, where they leave a car like someone drives up like an actor or whatever, one of the police, but he comes out as like acting like he's on the phone or something and walks away from the car, leaving the car on and running and the door open and stuff in front of mostly black people, and most of the time, they'll go and they'll jump in the car and drive away with it, and they let them get like a little bit away to show their intent to actually steal the car,
Hmm.
and then they lock the doors and shut the engine off, and then they can just catch them so they can't get out or anything. It's
I
really
would
fucked
think.
up.
I would think that would be entrapment, wouldn't you?
It's not because they're not like telling them to do it; they're just giving them the opportunity. So it kind of skates that that gray line right there of legal
Come
and
on,
illegal.
you won't do it. You won't do it.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah,
just, just
exactly.
take the car.
Right. It's oh my god. So anyway, yeah, those kids have seen that. If someone that's just too good to be true, man. Don't don't steal the Mercedes. It's just sitting in your neighborhood.
Indeed.
But yeah, no, that
Yeah.
is pretty funny. The little Schadenfreude when someone who wants to get rid of the police, which I do too. Don't get me wrong, I'm gonna get rid of them too. But like, it's just kind of funny when he's going all about it, and then he's got to thank them. He's got to humble himself and thank them. It's pretty funny.
Did you see this instance with everybody's favorite plant, Marjorie Taylor Greene? House leadership condemns Marjorie Taylor Greene's appalling comparisons of vaccines and masks to Nazism. Republican House
Oh
leadership and other
man.
prominent conservatives condemned Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene for repeatedly comparing the commie fucking coup mitigation to Nazism. Greene is a far right freshman member. No, she isn't. From Georgia, who has promoted a slew of conspiracy theories, said that the government and private companies are discriminating against those who haven't received the COVID-19 vaccine in the same way Nazis persecuted Jews in the Holocaust.
Yeah, see, I don't. It definitely wasn't masks, right? That she was talking about. But either way, yeah. First
No,
of
it
all,
was it
far
was
right.
vaccination status.
Yeah, it's vaccination. That's right. There's an apt comparison there. That is not. I mean, it's not like comparing Trump sneezing to Hitler, right? It's not the same thing as that. There's actually a legitimate comparison here, as opposed to Trump sneezing and getting called Hitler, right? I mean, so we can do that, right? So we go back to the whataboutisms, right? Oh, if it was Trump, then he's always a Nazi and Hitler and all this. But then she tries to do it. Then the other side tries to do it, and it's we're gonna get into an uproar. Um, so I mean, yeah, there is a whataboutism answer there, but yeah, it's stupid. There is actually an apt comparison here. It's obviously it's not as bad yet, but there is definitely a comparison to be made because it's that we're trying to make a second class citizen with the between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated.
Well,
That's what the whole point is, and they can't see past that. Like they're able to, they just won't do it because they know that's not what she's saying.
mhm.
Like they know the point she's making. They're just gonna try and gaslight the country yet again and get people to move on and be mad about that as opposed to like the actual issue.
Well, this one was enough to draw the ire of notable Jew Ben Shapiro, who tweeted
He
out
is a
with
notable
this.
Jew. It's true.
This is demented nonsense. It is nothing like the Holocaust, and any comparison thereto is both insulting and insane.
Whatever.
Do you, I got to ask what your take is on that.
um, I mean, I don't know. I've never been a big fan of Ben Shapiro. I think that he's just doing the same thing that the media is doing. He's just not looking at the actual point that's being made and just looking at the words that are used, and that's it.
Well, I mean, I used to be a fan, honestly. I,
I
I
mean, I
really
won't hold
did.
that against you.
Yeah, because I mean, he hasn't been wrong on a lot of things. He's been right on a few things.
Sure.
And he was another one of those where you start to look past the mainstream media and you start to look into the alt media because of Shapiro. I mean, hell, I found Christensen because I was looking for coverage of the Shapiro Cenk Uyghur debate.
Oh yeah, yeah. Cenk Uyghur. That's funny. Yeah.
Cenk Uyghur, not Cenk Uyghur.
Right, right, of course.
So, but what's interesting to me was when this happened, this video.
My name's Marjorie Green.
Whoops, not prepped yet. This video popped up, and this goes back to this was before Marjorie was in Congress. This was, I think, before her campaign even. But I mean, she's been going through this for quite a while. Let's have a listen to what it is that she had to say about this.
My name's Marjorie Green. Thank you all so much for hearing everyone and listening to so many people. And thank you for hearing me as well. I just wanted to tell everyone that I support keeping all of our monuments, and I'll tell you why. As a mother of 3 kids, I always want to be able to point to statues, monuments, or any type of history so that I can tell my children and teach them lessons in our country, whether they're good, bad, embarrassing, something that I'm happy about, something that I'm sad about, or something that I wish hadn't happened. We're seeing situations where Christopher Columbus, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, all kinds of statues are being attacked. And it seems to be just an effort to take down history. And whether I see a statue that may be something that I would fully disagree with, like Adolf Hitler, maybe a statue of Satan himself, I would not want to say take it down. But again, it's so that I could tell my children and teach others about who these people are, what they did, and what they may be about.
So obviously that's from Newsweek, as you couldn't tell from that. But Yeah, that pops up, which it's interesting how much we didn't see from this woman while she was on the
Yeah.
campaign trail, because that seems like that's part of the reason I think she's a plant, is because they find all this stuff here from what she did before she was a congresswoman that would have come out during the campaign process, because they love to take that kind of shit up.
Yeah, there's definitely, she does seem to be like a replacement for Trump. Like she's in there, she's like the right's AOC. It's what it seems like. She's like a response to AOC. I mean, I don't know about the whole plant thing. I guess it depends on what you mean by a plant.
It depends on what your definition of is.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Here's some good news for you. From the Hill, the National Guard is ending its mission at the Capitol. They're getting the fuck out of there.
Oh, good. So white supremacists have been defeated. Excellent. Good news.
Yes, all 11 of them. The National Guard is ending its deployment in Washington, D.C. more than 4 months after troops were called to the district following the deadly January 6th Selfie Fest. WUSA 9 reported that 2,149 National Guard troops will return to their home bases this week after the Department of Defense did not request that the force extend its mission to help protect the nation's capital past Sunday. A spokesperson for the D.C. National Guard told WUSA 9 that operations will return to normal. So what's your take on this?
4 months too late, I guess. I mean, right? I don't think they were really necessary. Like, other than on January 6th, I don't think they were necessary.
Yeah.
Even
I could actually see the January 6th part of it.
Yeah, even if they're just there as a deterrent, even if they're just there to, help escort people out, make sure they got everybody, search the places, or, search the complex or whatever, fine. Fair enough. That's fine. But then to keep them overnight into January 7th, you know what I mean? Just make sure everything's fine. And then they should go home. Like, they shouldn't have been there for 4 months. They didn't need to, like, wall the place off and, make it look like a totally legitimate election.
Most popular president in history, too.
That's right. He's got to wall himself off with, National Guard of Peace.
Well, we can't quite get rid of Liz Cheney yet, because now she is back in the news once again. From the New York Post, Liz Cheney comes out in support of stricter voting laws and sees no link to Trump. I'm not even going to read into this because I read this on Contemporary. Everything you need to know about this article is right there. I know, I read it before.
Right. Sees no link to Trump. Yeah.
What's your take?
Okay. I mean, cool. Yeah, let's do it. Stricter voting laws. Let's do it.
I mean, she's in there. All she's trying to do is go back and try to pull the neocon base back in and say, see, I've been fighting for stricter voting laws forever. Vote for me again, please. Please. She's not making it past re-election.
I hope not. I don't think any Cheney or Bush should ever hold office again, but, it is what it is.
No more Cheneys, no more Bushes.
We have just obtained.
God damn it. I'm going to cut this a little bit briefly, but I do want to talk just a little bit about this video that came out this week from Veritas, from one of their side presences over on Twitter. I can't believe this is still allowed to be up there, but let's take.
We have just obtained multiple leaked documents from inside Facebook, this time detailing a plan to curb, quote, vaccine hesitancy on a global scale. It was so concerning, it brought us not one, but two whistleblowers from inside Facebook who are ready to speak out on what this means for free speech and public discourse on their own platform.
To do something when it comes time to standing up for a world I want my children to live in. I don't want to leave them a world to where they don't have these liberties. Facebook uses classifiers in their algorithms to determine certain content to be what they call vaccine hesitant. or they call it vaccine hesitancy. And without the user's knowledge, they assign a score to these comments that's called the VH score, vaccine hesitancy score. And based on that score, will demote or leave the comment alone, depending on the content within the comment. So the main document, along with all the attachments and stuff that goes with it. So basically, when they write this algorithm, it goes through Facebook content, and it looks for certain keywords that are related to vaccination or not getting a vaccine and stuff like that. And it gives it a score, and the VA score means vaccine hesitancy, which is defined as being hesitant to get a vaccine, but not just like, well, I don't know. It's even, well, I saw a study that said that someone died that got the vaccine. That's vaccine hesitancy.
Now, interestingly enough, not only is it that we are going and talking about the fact that Facebook is absolutely doing this, but we get to hear it from Satan himself.
Yeah, that was a pretty serious like voice mask there. I wonder why they always do that. I guess
well, obviously they don't want their whistleblowers to be. Oh, what's that?
No. I was saying, like, I don't know why they have to do it exactly like that, though. Make it all low like that. But I was saying it's better than him, like, making the pitch much higher, so it like sound like a chipmunk instead. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's just like primes you to hear it ominously because he's saying it in an ominous voice, an unnatural voice. So like, it always primes you to, But anyway. Anyway, yeah, no, I mean, we knew that we didn't know exactly how they were doing this, but we knew they were doing this. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, all of them, they're all doing the same things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now that it's officially part of the narrative, we're allowed to talk about it again, so that's nice. The Overton window has shifted slightly. And, the conspiracy people aren't so crazy anymore, except for that they are, right?
Yeah.
Because even though they were right about this, it's like, oh, well, we forgot that you said this,
And we'll be talking a little bit
about this for a year. Sorry,
we'll talk a bit more about the conspiracy theories that came around the comic coup towards the end of the show. So I do want to move on just a touch off of this one into something that's absolutely cringe and rage inducing off of this. So a little bit more video for you here. I don't know if you've seen this one before or not, but you're going to cringe. I can promise you that. Let's have a listen to what this chick has to say.
Hey, bestie! You're wrong. I think it's time for another adult pre-K lesson. What do you think? All right, turn your listening ears on. Zoop, catch a bubble in your mouth. Good job. Okay, here's the thing. Having a preference is something like, I'm looking for a partner who likes kayaking or wakes up early in the morning or loves pizza. But when your preferences exclude an entire group of marginalized people, that's problematic. Okay, that's not nice. That's not a preference. If you lump all fat people in one group together as though they are not very different individuals, that's fatphobic. Just like lumping all black people in one group and saying, I don't like black people is racist. And lumping all disabled people in one group and saying, I don't think people in wheelchairs are hot is ableist. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay, so I am personally not fat phobic, but I am this bitch phobic. I don't want to be anywhere near her, around her. I never want to see her again. Oh my god.
My god.
That is not a good person. That is, I can't stand condescension to that level, like that sarcastic condescension. Oh, like I'm a child, speaking to me like I'm a child. I'm certainly not going to listen to you. Like, you talk to someone that way, they are not going to hear what you're saying. They're going to just shut down and be very insulting to you. Like, my first reaction was to go after her. I was just like, oh, fuck this bitch. No.
Well, it's interesting to me, too, because, I mean, you and I have had this conversation numerous times. Dark hair, the light eyes, the round face. That chick is my type otherwise, but she's fucking nuts. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Go away.
Mm-mm. Yeah,
but
not at all.
Yeah, the condescension behind that is just... And, I mean, you don't have the right to feel entitled to have somebody attracted to you.
Right.
And a lot of
Yeah,
these,
right.
the body pause movement, it feels like that's what they feel like they're trying to do, is they have the right to have everyone attracted to them. And like, no, that's not it.
Yeah, I mean it's a Mott and Bailey tactic that they use with the Bailey being yes, you have to be attracted to me. And then they retreat into the Mott, which is the no, you don't have to be attracted to me, just don't let my weight, be a factor. Especially what they try and go with. But it is, you should love me, no one else will. Somebody please. Like that's pretty much what it is. It's desperate,
Love me!
somebody please. Yeah. And then
Well,
like if I have to force you to, I will. Like my cats don't even love me, so I need you, somebody. Like yeah.
Well, that's one of the things too that goes along with. I mean, what I see out of the body positive movement is the fact that these women are not that positive with their bodies as much as they try to come out and say that they are. Because if they were positive with their bodies, then they wouldn't be worried about it.
Let me tell you a story of someone who is very positive with their body. There's a friend of mine's mom growing up. She was a big old person, big old woman. And she used to sit on the front lawn in a lawn chair and sun herself in a bikini. And we'd get off the bus and walk, and she'd be out front and he'd be incredibly embarrassed about it. She did not give a fuck. She thought she was the sexiest thing on the planet and would let you know it. She had no no questions about whether or not she was, attractive. She wasn't. But yeah, she was definitely not insecure like this woman obviously was.
We've got one here from Politico, and I got just this one and one more, and then we'll get into the meat of the show here. But this one here from Politico, suspicious package sent to Rand Paul's home. Dude, Rand Paul cannot catch a break. He was at the baseball shooting. He had those people come up after him at the what the fuck riot was it? No, it was after the Trump speech.
It was when the Justice for Breonna Taylor Act was coming out, the one that he wrote, that they were attacking him for not doing enough, I guess, or something like that. I forget what it was exactly they were mad at him for, when he was the one introducing the bill to get rid of no-knock warrants. I mean,
his neighbor beat the crap out of him. Didn't he get beat up one more time before that? Dude cannot catch a break.
Dude needs to learn how to fight.
Yeah.
To be honest. Maybe hire some personal security. I don't know, man. He's got to do something.
Well, the nicest part about this story is the fact that Richard Marx, a singer from the 80s, who I'd never heard of before this, now got a visit from the Capitol Police and the FBI, because he came out on record saying that he would go and buy Rand Paul's neighbor a drink to help him go finish the job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
It's
not a good look.
Who the fuck was it? Was it Mattis that got the ricin a couple years ago too? I think it was.
Sure. I'm not sure. It doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah, I know one of the under the Trump administration, one of the not the Department of Justice, one of the Defense Department guys got mailed a envelope full of ricin, and he just kind of laughed it off. I think it was Mattis.
Yeah. Sounds like what he would do.
All right. I got one more for you here. And this came to me via Spart, who is in my Discord and your Discord, which you should be joining both of if you're not in the audience. If you haven't been in both of those. You should be doing both of those. But Spart came out and said, don't make me agree with Vosh. So let's have a listen to what it is that Vosh had to say.
Hating prude.
Let's get this up here.
Types say that we shouldn't be teaching about non-heterosexual identity in school, and we say sexuality isn't the same thing as being sexual. And then you guys cross your fingers behind your backs, run off and say, but actually... Actually, I'm going to wear a fucking dog gimp suit at this public event and be in full visibility of children while my throbbing erection strains the fabric of my tiny thong, okay? Stop. And this isn't even to speak of the optics of it. Do you really want queer people to be represented in their entire... Then don't bring kids to Pride. Kids can be gay! Why are you ostracizing an under 18 demographic from a celebration of their identity because you're too horny to keep it in your fucking pants? Fuck you. Jesus. Kids should go to Pride. It should be a cool thing it should be a block party with cotton candy and tie-dye shirt makers where you use the rainbow colors to make tie-dye shirts. It should be a community fair. If you want a kink thing, go to a private venue where you can find limitless fucking armies of gays who want their ass plowed by randos, okay? This is so reductive. I'd love to explain how kink at Pride is made a fucking orgy. No, stop! Your kink isn't a discriminated identity. It's not. I don't care how many times subs try to make it out to be. You being a leather fetishist is not a fucking demographic that you're oppressed alongside, okay? You're not celebrating the liberation of people who wear leather in public. It's not a queer thing. Pride is queer. Straights wear leather. Gays wear leather. I don't care. Maybe gays do it more, but yes, it fucking is. All right, well, you know what else is part of queer pride? You all getting fucking bad. I actually can't believe you people. You're fucking... Stop fucking in front of children, you fucking pedo creep.
Why am I agreeing with Vosh, who I didn't even know who he was last week?
What world is this that I'm agreeing with Vosh? Oh my god. Yeah, no, I mean he's 100% right about all of that, except for only gays wear leather. I'm sorry, but anytime as soon as you put leather on, you're gay. That's it. I don't make the rules. I'm sorry, but other than that, though, he's 100% right.
Yeah, I don't know what this world is. I don't know why I'm agreeing with Bosch. I don't know, but he is right, and that's the big part of this. It's the Pride Parade used to be about, and this was back when Pride Parade started in the 60s and 70s. It used to be about, we want to live together, we want to cohabitate, and we want to be a part of your society.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's, I can walk around in a suit full of dildos with another one shoved up my ass. Right. And you have to watch it and like it.
Right, and you have to like it, yeah.
I ain't down with that. And the kids part is what really gets me off of this too, because you're here and I mean these kids are innocent. They don't know what the hell they're looking at other than the fact that a giant guy in dominatrix suits and latex and shit like that. Let's make an event where kids can go to, but kids can't consent to the wood chipper with these fucking people. And then, of course, Vosh with a band hammer on top of it.
Well, yeah, he is a leftist. You should forget that.
Yes, he is. All right, let's do a little bit of live chat here and get caught back up with this, and let's get into the main side of this here. Sorry, bear with me for just a second. I usually have somebody to do this for me. Seawall is over here. He rides up in his armored half-track. Joshua Fincannon is here. That's a new name. Welcome on in, Joshua. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. Ben Wild says, I don't have a fancy half-track. I can just show up in my OG Hummer. Spartan says, LGBT-USSR, no space travel, but safe space. Okay. Thank you, Spartan. Ben Wild says, you mean show the side of Kamala? That isn't some crazy idiot laughing and cackling over the voices in her head.
Right. Exactly.
Ben Wild says, I like when murderers go to jail. If only they would have convict Cuomo. Let's see, what else do we have here? Ben Wild says Mayor Lightfoot should be used for to chum for sharks off the coast of Point Reyes. I disavow. Ben Wild says, I'd subscribe to MTG's OnlyFans site. Could you imagine how fucking nuts that would be? Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I would subscribe to it.
Just for the entertainment value.
Right. Like, yeah. I want to see what's going on. You know, what is she doing? Keep an eye on her, you know.
Michael Vega is here, and he says he is the commissioner. Spartan says Ben is a shill. He's just doing it for the money. Is there a nationality of the gold that goes with that? What kind of gold would go with that?
I wouldn't know, Susan. I would have no idea.
Let's see. Ben Wild says Liz Cheney is the COVID virus. Well, she's some kind of virus.
For sure.
Let's see. Ben Wild says, you know that what Facebook, you could delete the post of everyone virtue signaling that they got the vaccine. Like fucking adult munch, who flipping cares? Instead, Facebook needs to send posts about cock rings and anal beads to the top of the feed.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I don't want to know who you follow, Ben Wild. Spartan says taxes should be based on fat percentage.
I like it. Although I'm kind of bigger, so I don't know. I'm not as big as her, but still, like.
Then he says, you know, TikTok girl is probably monetized.
Oh yeah, fully monetized. Probably has sponsors.
Then he also says TikTok girl is the gal who says she only dates guys 6 feet or taller with beards and washboard abs that are fully vaxxed and drive a Benz.
Yeah. Gotta have standards, you know.
Spartan says pride should be illegal, and Seawall says the modern LGBT movement is quickly working its way to the wood chipper. And that's where we're going to lead off on this. So we got to talk just a bit about these couple shootings. I want to start with the one out of your neck of the woods, because maybe you can leave a little bit of information about this. I know that's not necessarily in the city you live in, but I mean, you're closer to it than I am at this point.
Fair.
So starting from Fox 6 out of South Florida, 2 dead over 20 shot following event outside Northwest Miami-Dade venue, according to police. This marks the second mass shooting in South Florida on Memorial Day weekend. 2 people were killed and more than 20 people were injured in what police called a targeted and cowardly act early Sunday morning outside a Northwest Miami-Dade banquet hall. The shooting took place just after 12:30 a.m. at a release party for a local rap artist at El Mula Banquet Hall, located at 7630 Northwest 186th Street. The Miami-Dade Police Department said 2 people died, 3 are in extremely critical condition, and 17 others were shot and transported to 6 or 7 area hospitals between Dade and Broward counties, which, of course, why wouldn't it be Broward County? Many initially drove themselves to the hospital. So, what do you know about this story so far?
Just what you said there. I actually did not hear about this. It sounds like some Miami shit, though, for sure.
Well, and I'm not actually surprised that you didn't hear about this, because I don't think this is going to be the one that makes the headlines, that makes the narrative that they want to make. I mean, it appears, and there's no information about the suspects out there except for the fact that they're looking for them. The suspects got away, but this does appear to be that black on black crime that you never hear about from Chicago either.
Right.
I was a little surprised. I found something about this. You know, I just happened to be looking around on Twitter yesterday when I got home and realized that, oh, this happened. We should probably talk about this. Mm-hmm. Oh, my stand-in co-host is from Florida too, so he might know a little bit something about this.
Nope. No, that's I think Miami is like 3 hours from me, something like that. Like it's a good distance. It might even be more. It might even be more like 4 or 5. But yeah, so I don't really know much. I've never been there. I don't know much of what goes on down there. I know there's a lot of Cubans down there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it. And I think Seawall's right. He said this is going to disappear quickly. Release party for a rap album. That means the shooter is going to be the wrong demographics. I think he's right about that.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, so that's not going to be like the one that we had to. It's not going to be the next. What was it, Stoneman Douglas or whatever? You know, the one that's going to be in the news for the next 3 years. That's going to continue to push for gun control
and make a pencil-necked idiot famous.
Oh my god, dude! Its head's like an orange on a toothpick. It's ridiculous.
Are you and Rob both signed into the same account, by the way?
I mean, no, he's on Generational Gap in the chat. He's the only one
Oh, I thought
typing.
that was
I haven't
you.
been.
That's why I wasn't reading
No,
them
no, no,
before.
no. I'm signed into EMFAGO at the moment.
Oh. I don't know if you saw my title card, but that's how I introduced you in the loading program too.
Oh, did you? I didn't see that.
EMFAGOSO.exe.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool.
So yeah,
I got loaded.
I mean, Simo's probably right. Like you said, this is probably going to be one of those that disappears almost instantly. But over on the other side of the country, the one that did make news this week, and one that we talked about quite a bit here, San Jose VTA shooting kills 10, including an employee who opened fire. This is from Fox 2 out of KTVU. A mass shooting at a Valley Transportation Authority light rail yard in San Jose Wednesday morning during a meeting left multiple people injured and 10 people dead, including the shooter, according to authorities and sources. The shooter was employed as a VTA rail technician, according to the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office. The attacker was identified as 57-year-old Sam Cassidy, according to two law enforcement officials. Investigators offered no immediate word on a possible motive, but this is another one of those here where this does look like this was targeted. They knew who this was. They knew who the person was. And, I mean, it sounds like a guy just got disgruntled, pissed off with his coworkers, and went in and started shooting. This doesn't seem like anything else that's massively racially related or gun control related. And, honestly, this one kind of disappeared a little bit quickly, too.
Yeah. Well, especially when the one guy was on the news talking about, I wish we could, carry at the job. We could have stopped him.
Yeah.
Like that guy. As soon as he said that, I mean, they can't continue with it. Then all the opponent has to do is just put that video up. Oh, look, this guy was right. He's right. He could have stopped him. And it's just there's nowhere to go with it now.
Well, and I do wonder, too, if there is a situation where I was actually getting a little bit tinfoily on this one because we hadn't talked about gun control for a while. And this just happened to happen at a place where, once again, there are super strict gun laws into place already, San Jose, California. And on top of this was right next door to the sheriff's office. I don't know if you caught that out of the article.
Yep.
So I have a lot of questions about this, as I think most people watching this should.
Well, yeah, I mean, but we're not gonna find out because it's gonna be memory hold, just like the that bomb in Tennessee that went off. Remember the RV guy? What happened to that? That was huge. Like that was a showstopper for that day. You know what I mean? Like what happened? We don't know much else, right? Didn't we have like a name of the guy or whatever? But that was like really it. There was no real motive, or at least the motive was shaky. Yeah, I'm not sure we're gonna find out anything about this new shooting either.
Well, Las Vegas shooter, that's another one.
That's another one, yeah. That one is really like worthy of some tinfoil. That one is insane. That one's worthy of at least considering the tinfoil.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, what happens right away after this one too? We got a whole day of people coming out talking about the AR-15 once again, which it is not confirmed what the firearm that was used on this particular shooting was. But we got a full 24 hours of it's time to go ban the AR-15, and everyone else, nobody should have an AR-15, nobody should have a weapon of war, this, that, and the next thing. You've heard this
ridiculous
stuff.
To me. Oh my! The weapon of war is my favorite one. I say that sarcastically, of course, because it's like, what's a weapon of peace? Like, I've never found a weapon of peace before. Right? Like, no, everything's a weapon of war. Everything is. A knife is a weapon of war, right? You use knives in war, right? I mean, any kind of gun you have is a weapon of war. And there's no gun that's designed to heal people, right? I mean, that's the whole point of it. So it'll be like, oh yeah, we can't have these weapons of war. So you want all the guns then? Just say you want all the guns. Just say it. Have the balls.
All the guns.
Just say you want all the guns. That's it.
You actually made my next transition quite perfect off of this because we've got to talk about David Chipman a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
Perfect.
I've got really nothing more to say off this particular one, just because there's no detail, and all this is disappearing in a hurry.
Yeah.
But I don't think this one fits the narrative either, to be completely honest. I mean, it's already illegal in California for the most part to have these firearms. Killing somebody's already illegal.
Is it? I thought we were still trying to make murder illegal. Weird.
I mean, name a law that would have changed any of this.
We should make murder double illegal.
Super duper secret illegal? No, that's just if it's a hate fueled murder, but only with hate of race.
Right. Right, because people typically kill the people they love. It's usually how that goes.
Well, maybe in Alabama.
Well, yeah, maybe
in the trailer park. But yes, right down to your point. They just want all the guns. David Shipman. He got into a little bit more. They've been grilling him since last week, but he had a really interesting exchange with Tom Cotton, and I not only have one video on his exchanges with Tom Cotton, I've got two, and I want to lead with the one where we're talking about where he actually does want all the guns. Let me get that one up here. Where are you? I'm doing this a completely different way than I used to, so
yeah, patience.
Let me get this one up here.
We will have patience.
And let's have a listen to what he had to say. And good on Tom Cotton, too, by the way. And I don't say that often. I don't care for Tom Cotton. But I'm good on him for this one because he knows exactly what buttons to push. Let's have a listen.
I want to turn to a second matter now, Mr. Shipman. You have called for an assault weapons ban. I have a simple question for you. What is an assault weapon?
Senator, an assault weapon would be, in the context of the question you asked, what Congress defines it as.
So you're asking us to ban assault weapons. We have to write legislation. Can you tell me what is an assault weapon? How would you define it if you were the head of the ATF? How have you defined it over the last several years as your role as a gun control advocate?
Senator, if I'm confirmed as ATF director, my recollection is the only process by which ATF is weighed in is that I know there's a demand letter 3 program which requires multiple reports, multiple sale reports on the southwestern border. And ATF in that program has defined an assault rifle as any semi-automatic rifle capable of accepting a detachable magazine above the caliber of .22, which would include a .223, which is, largely the AR-15 round.
So you believe that every weapon that takes a detachable magazine that can take a .22 round or 5.56 in military parlance should be defined as an assault weapon?
Let me clarify. What I believe I just said is any semi-automatic rifle.
Okay, any semi-automatic rifle.
What?
That's the definition. A detachable magazine that takes a 5.56 or .22 round should be defined as an assault weapon.
Senator, you asked me if ATF had used this term, and I was sharing with you my knowledge of a program in which ATF has defined this term. And it is in the Demand Letter 3 program, and that rifle is a semi-automatic rifle capable of accepting a detachable magazine with a round greater than a .22 caliber. And in those cases, firearms dealers on the southwest border are required to make a multiple sale report to ATF.
How many rifles have you shot that have a caliber smaller than .223?
When I was 12, I fired a .22 rifle that was breech loaded. That was about it. You can think. And BB guns when I was a kid. Again, all kid stuff,
And I mean,
yeah, that's a ridiculous definition. Obviously,
I hope you're handy with a bolt action. If somebody comes into your house.
Yeah, that's a little.
I mean, what else is I heard somebody talk about a pump action 30-06, which I've never seen, but I've heard about.
A revolver.
I would technically almost well, that's also not a rifle barrel. Keep in mind.
Right.
Well, some of them, I guess,
right.
are.
It's not a rifle.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there are some ridiculous ones that are just like stupid. Here's a 20-inch barrel on a revolver. It's really dumb. Maybe not 20, but you know what I mean. Like just super long.
Hmm.
But yeah, no. I mean, that's the thing is there's no settled on definition for an assault rifle, right? I think a good one is select fire. You know, your ability to switch between single round and full auto. That's a good definition for an assault rifle. Which, by the way, that's already illegal unless you have the right permits or whatever that are difficult to get. But that's the same with any kind of weapon. You can get most things as long as you have the right permits and you wade through the right red tape. But it's
Well,
not available to like the general public.
plus the tax stamps and everything, which tells me that
Yeah.
they're just letting the rich have the guns, and they don't care about the poor
Right.
fucking plebes. But they love
Of
the
course
poor,
not.
don't they?
Oh yeah, they're the party of the poor or some shit. I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, that's almost anything. That's any rifle essentially that you can go
Pretty
and buy
much.
off the shelf.
Yeah. With the exception of
'Cause-
like they're saying in the chat, like lever actions, things like that. But I mean, so dumb. Yeah, and then like you said, pump shotguns or whatever.
At a time.
Well, Chipman got into another one with Tom Cotton too, which I thought was very, very interesting. Talking a little bit more about the family of the houseplant chief. You're gonna laugh at this one. I laughed at this one. So let's have a listen
Right.
to what it is that Tom and David had to say with this.
At a time. But thank you. Mr. Chipman, you testified to Senator Lee that it's a serious felony to lie on a background check application. I agree. The ATF form 4473 asks, are you an unlawful user of or addicted to any drug or uncontrolled substance? If an applicant checks yes, they cannot purchase a firearm. On March 25th, Politico reported that Hunter Biden, President Biden's son, applied for a handgun that was later thrown in the trash and had to be recovered by Secret Service agents in 2018. Politico reported that Hunter Biden completed this background check and answered no to the question of whether he was an unlawful user of or addicted to any drug. Hunter Biden has since published a book and gone on a nationwide book tour, conducting numerous interviews, stating that he was, in fact, very much addicted to drugs at the same time that he purchased this firearm. This would mean that by his own admission, Hunter Biden lied on that form and by your earlier testimony, committed a serious felony. Should Hunter Biden be prosecuted for breaking this law?
Senator, thank you for your question. If I'm confirmed as ATF director, it will be my responsibility to enforce all federal laws without political favor. I do not know any factors in this particular case, but I am familiar with the press account of it.
Well, my understanding is the statute of limitation is only 5 years, and that this happened in 2018. Mr. Biden is obligated to keep a record of that form for up to 5 years himself. So this should be a fairly easy case to investigate. Can I get your commitment that if you are confirmed, you will in fact look into this matter and refer it for prosecution if you find that Hunter Biden violated the law?
Senator, what I will assure you is that if ATF director, I will ensure that all violations of law are investigated and referred. I'm not sure that it has not been investigated.
Well, I hope it has, and if the facts are as clear-cut as they appear to be, based on Mr. Biden's own admission, I would expect to see criminal charges forthcoming. But I would say that when a case is as high-profile as this, if there is not an answer for the American people and public, it severely undermines the confidence in our gun laws, as well as the ATF and the Department of Justice, if there are not criminal consequences.
So, by the gestures you were making, you have a lot to say about this.
He's going to be the next ATF director, isn't he?
Probably.
Fuck.
All it takes is a simple majority.
Man. Yeah, I know. And they're going to get it too. All right, well, I hope you don't have both kids and a gun, because he wants to take both of them from you. So there you go. He's going to burn your children and take your guns away. So there you go. Have fun with that.
But I mean, on the Hunter thing, that entertained me. The fact that they're having this conversation about Hunter and what happened with him.
Yeah,
Which, as
I
far
mean,
as I know, we're not supposed to be having that conversation. Isn't that correct?
that is correct. Yeah, we're not supposed to mention him at all. Hunter Biden doesn't really exist. If we talk about a Biden, it has to be Beau Biden. That's the only one we can kind of bring up. But yeah, so I mean, obviously nothing's going to happen to Hunter, right? Even with David Chipman getting in, and even if they try and push for an investigation, he's a made man, right? Hunter's a made man. He's in there. Daddy's president. He's going to be fine. I'm not going to hold my breath for any kind of like actual, punitive measures against him.
Yeah, I don't. It's insanity. The fact of we come up here and we're voting for this great moderate who's going to be this great healer of nations and who's going to be doing all this, that, the next thing, and he's going to do this. And now we sit here with, and we'll be transitioning to this in just a second, the fact that we have to sit back and investigate the selfie fest at the Capitol from another agency. We've got the guy coming in here who says that your 22 long rifle is an assault weapon and needs to be taken away from you.
Right.
And Hunter Biden can walk free because he lied on the application, but nothing happened there.
Yeah.
The government. What do you think about the fact that this is your government?
I don't like it, and I would prefer not to have one at all.
All right.
I mean,
I alluded to this. Just go ahead.
I was going to say I have no choice but to acquiesce, but I do not consent.
All right. We have got to talk about the 1-6 Commission, which up until we started seeing these shootings was the big news of the week so far. So this week, we started to have the conversation about what to do about January 6th and what happened in that situation. Congress came together. Congress voted last week to pass by a simple majority. There was a party line vote. No, it wasn't a party line vote because they did have a lot of Republican defectors that went across and over to vote to say, yes, we will have a commission to reinvestigate what happened at January 6th, what this means for the government, and you know what they were trying to do. They're trying to find another way to blame this up on the Orange Man. The bill went to the Senate, and one of the most anticipated conversations we had this week was what this was going to do in the Senate, whether or not this was going to pass, whether they were going to be able to garner the filibuster votes, if this was going to be filibustered. And interestingly enough, this is actually the first bill that is made to the Senate that got filibustered. I thought there were a bunch of other ones that got there, but this is the first one that got taken up for a vote and got defeated by a filibuster. But I want to back up just a little bit and talk about how we got from there to here. One of the first ones to looking into this was the fact that the first person, and that was right from the beginning, they were talking about who was going to vote for and who was going to vote against, was that Mitt Romney came out on record on Tuesday and stated that he would be the first GOP senator to say that he would vote for the January 6th Commission bill.
I mean, obviously, I'm glad that it's not going to happen. Actually, you know what? I'm not. I wish it would happen. I'll take that back. I wish it would happen.
Okay, defend.
Well, so I want them to waste more time flailing about trying to find something, throwing everything against the wall, hoping something will stick, and then, of course, it won't. The people have already been charged, so they're not going to be charged again as long as we allow that part of the law to continue, the double jeopardy part. As long as we can do that, that would be nice. And then, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I want to see them just flailing about, throwing everything against the wall. I want them to overplay their hand again, like they did during the two impeachments of Trump.
Yeah.
Right? They had two impeachments and found nothing except for ordinary Washington corruption. Let's do that again. let's keep doing that. Let's keep sending, ordinary Washington, bureaucrats to prison. I like that. I'm a fan of that. Let's keep doing that.
Well, the commission was intended to be. It was supposed to be 5 Republicans, 5 Democrats going through and doing like they did for 9/11, going to try to get to the bottom of what happened and where they got there, which the FBI is doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the FBI is giving them the answer that they want, which is a big part of the reason that they're going back and doing this. But that's what it was supposed to be. But I mean, there's enough never Trump Republican in the House and Senate where you know that this would have been Nancy Pelosi going in and saying, duck, 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 goose, duck, duck. It's not going to be. I want to volunteer to be on this commission because I don't think that anything went wrong. It was, you're going to give me the answer that I like, so I'm going to put you on this commission.
Right. Yeah, exactly. There's Republicans that have an election coming up, next year, that would very much like to ingratiate themselves with the establishment again.
Mm-hmm.
If they might have lost some favor, perhaps, from being pro-Trump, I think that would be a good way to do it. And I can definitely see that being corrupted instantly.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not going to be. I'm going to use names from both chambers of this because I think this was supposed to go across both chambers. But I mean, it's not going to be Ted Cruz and Kevin McCarthy and Elise Stefanik in this on the Republican side of this. It's going to be Mitt Romney and Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins and Liz Cheney are going to be the ones who are picked for this.
Yeah, exactly. The anti-Trumpers, yeah. I mean, we think it was actually Trump who started it, that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking insane.
But there was controversy over this too. One of the big ones that came off of this was the controversy of the fact that not everyone actually voted. There were 11 senators who weren't there or didn't cast a vote to this. And interestingly enough, the person who was at the beginning of the term, the darling of the left, Kyrsten Sinema, was among them. The senators who didn't vote on the bill were mostly Republicans, 9 Republicans and 2 Democrats. Marsha Blackburn, Roy Blunt, Mike Braun. He is of Indiana. He's less prominent, so I didn't know if you knew who that one was. Richard Burr of North Carolina. Jim Inhofe of Oklahoma. Mike Rounds of South Dakota. James Risch of Idaho. Richard Shelby of Alabama. And, of course, Pat Toomey. On the Democrat side, it was Patty Murray of Washington and Kyrsten Sinema. And my God, do they hate Kyrsten Sinema now.
Oh, I know. Ever since she did her little, wasn't she the one that did the going up to the thing and being like,
"Yep,
isn't that her?"
Yes, that was her.
Yeah. So I had never even heard of her until that moment, and then I only heard of her because I was watching all the leftists seethe about it. Mm-hmm. It was for something one of their pet
minimum wage
issues. Minimum wage, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was one of their little pet issues. So yeah, I mean, I guess I don't really know much about her otherwise, other than she pisses off the right people, so that's nice.
Isn't that the most important part of who pisses off the right people?
Yeah, it's a big factor in whether or not I like somebody. It's their ability to piss off the people I don't like. It's a little selfish, but there it is.
We've got a host from the RRC over here. I just caught over on the corner of my eye. So thank you, RRC, for coming in with the host, by the way. Just want to make sure that's well noted.
Hell yeah.
We're just checking over on the monitors over here. Psych Major is over here as well, over on the Twitch side. Thank you for that. Just seeing some new names in here. So, but we do have to go on and talk a bit about what else is going with this. And one of this big story that came out of this was the filibuster and whether or not this was going to be enough to push the filibuster away. Joe Manchin, once again, was at the front and center of the news of this, which I think if Sinema had popped in and if she had been present for this and voted on this, whether it was yes or no, that would have been another major situation as to whether or not they liked her for the vote or whether they liked her for the filibuster. Because remember, she is another one who is very, very intent on keeping the filibuster in place. But Axios actually caught up with Joe Manchin, and he says that he's not willing to abolish the filibuster over the January 6th commission. Reading from Axios here, Senator Joe Manchin said Thursday he's not willing to abolish the legislative filibuster if Republicans block the creation of a bipartisan commission to investigate the deadly January 6th Capitol selfie fest, which they are set to do within hours. So this happened right before the vote. Manchin, a crucial moderate swing vote, has blasted GOP leadership over the January 6th commission and said there's no excuse for any Republican to vote against the bill, but his view has still not changed on eliminating or altering the filibuster, even if it prevents his party from passing key legislation. His exact quote for this was, "I'm not willing to destroy our government, no," Manchin said when asked if he would vote to end the filibuster if Republicans blocked the commission. They didn't say who was doing the interview in Axios, so I don't know if it was Axios themselves that were reaching out to him or if this was another third party and they were reporting on it. But what do you think about that idea?
Yeah, so I'm not sure I fully understand the filibuster. Like, obviously I know it's, you're supposed to speak for however long you have, the floor for, so that a bill can't be voted on, like to delay the vote. I get that part of it, but I don't know why. I know it's a tool that both sides like to use, so I don't know why exactly. I guess because the Democrats are in charge right now, they want to get rid of it.
Well, they want to jam their agenda through. Is the reason they want to get rid of it, unopposed.
Right. I get that, but there's no way that they're that short-sighted. I just can't believe that career politicians who have an entire career to think about, are so short-sighted that they would not realize that they may or may not be in charge again later on in a year or two. You know what I mean? I can't believe that they would be that short-sighted. I guess they surprise me often enough that I shouldn't be surprised that they would be. But it leads me to believe that there's something probably more nefarious going on. Like there's some kind of plan once the filibuster's out of the way. I don't know. But I mean, that's all, tinfoil stuff.
I do have to I have to address one thing in the chat here just for a second here. The 2020 election was the freest and most fair election in history. Joe Biden is the most popular president who ever lived. He got even more votes than Barack Obama, and everything was fair and above board. Honk, honk, wink, wink.
Exactly.
Yes. The freest and most fair election ever. The safest election that ever was as well. Honk.
That's right. Chairman Biden is the most president that has ever been.
While we're on this topic here, I did want to get it because you brought this up a little bit earlier as well. This is an Ipsos poll that I wanted to just read from briefly. Over half of Republicans believe Donald Trump is the actual president of the U.S. So this came up out of an Ipsos poll. Former President Trump's stronghold over the Republican Party remains. His refusal to concede the 2020 election and calls of widespread fraud have raised doubts about the integrity of its results among his Republican base. Consequently, 56% of Republicans believe the election was rigged or the result of illegal voting, neither of which happened, of course. And 53% think Donald Trump is the actual president, not Joe Biden. Which, that's the part that I wanted to get to over the fact is that 53% of Republicans think that Trump is the actual president. Now,
I don't think that's true. That's not true. No,
and
I'm really sorry to do this, and it's super unprofessional, but I really have to piss. Like I've got to rack a piss pretty hard. So
I will take
right back.
Just a little bit of live chat then. Let's see what these guys are doing. Oh, what are you guys doing over here? Don't kill each other. That's what I have to say. Looks like we're trying to split up the world over here. And I see that Robert is on the Generational Gap account. That was my bad. I was skipping those because I thought they were John. If I'd have thought for a second they were Robert, I would have been reading them. Seawall says this is going to disappear quickly. The release for a rap album. That means the shooters were going to be the wrong demographics. Yeah, we read that. Spartan says, seriously, this is my tax plan. No taxes on your first property up to $650,000. Yes to income tax. Serious limits on every other tax. Well, taxation is theft, so I don't like any of that. I think we should have a GoFundMe for everything that we want to accomplish from the government. Sewell says something I disavow. David Hogg is proof we need more bullying in schools. I disavow. He also says this one sounds a little Vegas. Unless we want to take the Americas, and I will take Eurasia. We split it 50-50. Computer is a weapon of war, says Spartan. Seawall says, actually, I would rule from Japan and Korea. How about I take the Pacific Rim and you take the Atlantic? I will throw in India and Africa as well. Timmy the Tweaker says, Joe's going to take our guns. Well, welcome on in, Timmy the Tweaker.
Sorry about that.
And we will leave off on Timmy the Tweaker.
That's a good name. I like that name.
Timmy the Tweaker.
I hope you're not actually a tweaker, but I do like that name.
Okay. Anyway, yes, at this point, it looks like, according to the Ipsos poll, 53% of Republicans believe Trump is the actual president. Now, and what I was going to say with that when when you had to take off was, no matter how we got there, and let's just say in a simulation somewhere, the 2020 election had massive amounts of fraud in it. Just in a simulation. Not that it actually happened. But in an alternate universe where there were massive amounts of fraud in the 2020 election that totally didn't happen and I mean everything up there was above board, it wouldn't matter. As soon as Joe Biden put his hand on the Bible and said, "Yeah, I promise to uphold the thing, man," and then he is the president. He's taken the oath of office, and he is officially the president at that point. No matter how we got to that point, he is the president.
Right. Correct.
But of course, nothing bad happened in the 2020 election, and Biden is the most popular president who ever lived in history.
That's right. That's why all those National Guard members came to see him and to give thanks to him. That's why all those people went into the Capitol building. They were going there to get hugs and stuff from the congressman.
All right. So that's what I have to say on the January 6th commission. Do you have anything else to go out of this? Otherwise, we are running up against the clock, and we have to keep going a bit.
Yeah, we can keep going. I'm good.
Okay. I'm gonna put this Belarus plane thing on the back burner here because we do have to talk a little bit about Biden and everything else that he is doing, and of course the Honkler presidency and everything else that goes along with that, and elections have consequences, and all the other fun shit that it is that they have to say here. But before we do that, I want to, because it bears repeating, the fact that Biden had one of his famous Biden moments here, and I'm sorry, I've got to come back here and find it, but we just have to listen to this, because it is probably one of the most important speeches of his career, of his Honkler fucking presidency. So let's have a listen to that.
And, I'm honored to be joined today by Governor Northam and by two great representatives of the Commonwealth, Congressman Laurie and Congressman Scott. And I want to thank you for all that you do to represent these service veterans, because they're devoted to you. Their family members, the caregivers, survivors will call Virginia home. I'm especially honored to share the stage with Brittany and Jordan and Nathan and Margaret Catherine. I love those barrettes in her hair, man. I tell you what, look at her. She looks like she's 19 years old, sitting there with her, like a little lady with her legs crossed. Brittany, you're doing triple duty as a veteran, a military spouse, and a teacher.
And the notable part about this is the fact that the video clip that I got for this has the sign language interpreter. What do you think was going through her mind while she was going with this?
Right. Like, how do you even sign that sort of? I mean, I don't.
Can I say this?
Language,
can I sign this?
It's like, do I do this part? Do I leave this part out? Do I just stop?
It did look like she did there for a second.
Yeah, she's like, oh. Oh my god, they need to get one of those shepherd's hooks that they, so they anytime he starts going off, they can just kind of drag him off the stage. Like, no, Biden, no. No. Stop talking about the kids, man. Stop. Oh my god.
It's
just stop.
Which, of course, for very good reason, this brought up outrage against Biden, which it absolutely should have.
Sure.
The guy is a walking gaffe machine.
He's been for a while. Even during Obama's presidency, when he was vice president, he was still a gaffe machine back then. It's just he wasn't allowed. He wasn't allowed out. We didn't see much of him during those 8 years. But now he's the president. He's up. He's in front of people. Like, not as often as he should be, but of course, they have to make do with what they have.
Well, and one of the things that goes with this for me personally was, and I pointed this out on Saturday morning after I found out about this, and I found people talking about, well, Trump this and Trump that. What happens every time Biden says something remotely pedophilic? What's the first thing you hear every time? Well, Donald Trump. He said that, could you be possibly more sexually attracted to your daughter than your wife? And Ivanka was 13 at the time. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's the same thing you guys keep going back to. And it's the same quote every time they keep bringing back up, which is fine. It was absolutely disgusting that he said that. And I denounce the fact that he said that. Now, can we talk about what the person who currently has the nuclear codes just fucking said?
Right. It goes back to that whataboutism. It's like, okay, great. 2 people can be creepy at the same time.
Yes.
Like, it can't happen. Okay, so now let's not talk about the one that doesn't matter anymore. Let's talk about the one who actually, affects things. And the one who does it often. He says shit like that often. Like, way too often.
Yeah, he says goofy shit. He says goofy fucking shit all the time.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to have a problem with it.
Push-up contests and stuff. Like, he yells at people who, are his constituents. I mean, he yells at, what was that one dude? The union dude, I think. There was like one of the union guys. But he was talking about guns. And the dude, Biden just went off on him. And he was just like, whoa. Like, just asking a question. It's so ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah, the guy just says stupid shit, and he has been, like you said, this isn't a new thing.
Right.
But I also, more often. Yeah, we do have to talk a bit about the other very, very important thing that what do you think the most important thing was that Biden did this week? Do you think it was the $6 trillion budget?
No, when he got chocolate ice cream. That was the most important thing he's ever done in his presidency so far.
Yeah, you know where I was going with that.
I figured that's what it was, yeah. That was one of my favorite clips this week.
So this week, reading from WKYC, the media decided to fawn because President Biden decided that he wanted to stop at Honey Hut for ice cream during his Cleveland visit. Now, this has been one thing, too. And I mean, if you remember, like, the Hot Cup of Joe, that creepy fucking book that they came out with a while ago.
Yeah.
Where he is out there and he's on the cover licking a thing. I mean, ice cream has been a big part of Biden's political life for as long as he's been in politics. That is something that I can come and understand. But WKYC reports that dating back to his days as vice president, ice cream has become every bit as synonymous with Joe Biden as his signature aviator sunglasses. So perhaps it shouldn't come as a surprise that the president made a quick trip to Honey Hut on State Road before leaving his visit in Cleveland on Thursday afternoon. It's a good day for ice cream at the Honey Hut, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki wrote on Twitter, where she posted a picture of Biden placing his order. According to a White House poll report, the U.S.'s 46th president ordered chocolate chip and butter pecan and told the employees to keep the change on his order, which included about 50 units of ice cream for the staff. Additional social media posts and videos also showed Biden taking pictures with employees, and I've got a little bit of video of that, so let me get that up over here so we can go back and see just how hard-hitting the journalism was, and all the journalism link that goes with this. Starting with this one, where he did wind up taking a couple selfies in a picture with, you guessed it, another young girl.
Are you really?
Naturally.
Let's get that up over here. Switch the scene.
Are you really?
Yeah, it's Paul Ryan's alma mater, actually.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Democrat, so I'm not the best rep for me. I know. It's so exciting to meet you. This is like a dream.
Joe Biden.
Yes, I do.
No, this is yes, I have wheels and everything. I walked up here just to get ice cream. And Joe
Don't
Biden.
do it.
I'm sorry, my phone is so slow.
There you go.
Yeah. Could you take one for me, actually?
And of course, she hands it right to a Secret Service agent.
Right.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, sorry.
See you guys. How are you?
Oh my God.
I can't believe you. I vote for you.
Oh my god.
I vote for you.
So
No, I got
cringy.
mine.
I voted for you.
So that's one video from this, and I do have another one.
The dear leader is out mingling with the other comrades of the revolution. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the most important things that we saw towards the end of last week. Definitely was. But the best part, because this was happening right as the vote was happening as well, DJ Judd tweets out, and then with a video as well, President Biden, chocolate chip ice cream in hand, tells Alba Monica at Honey Hut Ice Cream, "I can't imagine anyone voting against establishing a commission on the greatest assault since the Civil War on the Capitol, but at any rate, I came for ice cream." Let's actually have a listen to that.
Let's do it.
Chocolate chip.
Oh yeah.
What is your message to Republicans who are prepared to block the January 6th commission?
Eat some chocolate chip.
To seek compromise and common ground on that?
On a commission? I think it's. I can't imagine anyone voting against establishing a commission on the greatest assault since the Civil War on the Capitol. But at any rate, I came for ice cream.
That's right.
I came for ice cream, man.
Yeah, I mean I get it. Like I wouldn't want to be bothered while I'm eating ice cream either. Just be like, no man, come on, man. Just trying to eat my ice cream. What are you gonna do with this? Oh my god.
So yeah, that was our
so
hard-hitting
cringe.
journalism here. But we do have to talk a bit about some of the things that came up with this, and that is one of the things that came up with this is the fact that as of right now, Joe Biden is proposing a $6 trillion spending plan to Congress. Now, there are a couple things that go along with that, including the fact that this is not actually going to be the budget, which it would be nice to see a budget once, because we haven't seen one of those since fucking W. We haven't seen a balanced one since Clinton.
Right.
But $6 trillion, $6 trillion includes, let's see, we will read from CBS just briefly here. Biden on Friday unveiled a historically large $6 trillion 2022 budget, making his case to Congress that now is the time for America to spend big. In his first budget proposal, which includes roughly $4 trillion in hope-for infrastructure and families plan, spending in the years ahead, there would be continued deficits and the national debt would continue to rise, even as it eclipses the country's gross domestic product, or GDP. Looks like... I thought that they had some of the things that they were going for with this. Doesn't have it in this article. I should have grabbed another one. I know that one of the big ones was defense, going in for nuclear weapons and nuclear deterrence against China. That was a big one that came along with this. Of course, there's going to be massive amounts of foreign aid, including going back to rebuild the Iron Dome defense system. That's going to be up off of this. But for the most, and this is the big part of this to keep in mind with what we're seeing off of this massive spending package, and a lot of this is going to be infrastructure as well, or infrastructure as they say it, is the fact that this isn't going to be what comes out finally as far as what the budget and the omnibus are going to be. This is Biden's proposal for what he wants to do, but he doesn't control the purse strings. He does rely on Congress for that still.
Yeah, but Congress is pretty heavily weighted towards him, so I mean, I'm sure there are things that won't make it in there, but a lot of things will. A lot of this stuff, especially the defense stuff, we're definitely going to be ramping up our defense spending.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, we're sitting in a situation where it is,
yeah, but we got Iran and China, and then we obviously have to protect our greatest and most valuable ally ever that's over there in that one area that we're not allowed to talk about.
The Levant.
Yeah, exactly, the Levant.
Well, with all this spending, Elizabeth Warren actually came out and she's offering a bill to increase IRS budget to $31.5 billion. According to The Hill, on Monday, Warren introduced legislation that would increase the IRS's budget to $31.5 billion in order to bolster the agency's efforts to go after wealthy people who are not paying the taxes that they owe.
That's stupid. That's not at all. That's not at all what that's for.
Oh,
I know that's
do
what
tell.
she's saying it's for, but there's no way that's what that's for. No. I don't think so. I don't know what it's for, but I know that the IRS does have a cache of its own weapons. It is technically a law enforcement agency.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, it's part of the executive branch, so of course it would be. It's the same with the post office. Did you know the post office is technically a law enforcement agency?
Yeah. They have the postal cops or whatever they call them. I don't know what the official name is, but yeah. They sure do. They have dogs that sniff packages for looking for weed and other powdered substances going to certain senators, things like that.
But yeah, I mean, they want to go back and they're going to come out and at least virtue signal that they're going to crack down on the rich. Now the rich are who's paying their bills, so I'm sure there are going to be loopholes that go with that. But I mean, still, that's. What do you do at that point? Because that's all they're going to talk about is what they're going to do to go back after the rich. Now, I can't tell you what's not going to be in the the proposed budget, which I just kind of gave away the bag there. But student debt forgiveness isn't going to be in the annual budget, and experts say that's not surprising. So he's going to come back and walk that back too.
Yeah, he's walked back all of his, any kind of far left promises, like anyone on the left has been talking about. He's walked back on all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think pretty much, right? Other than maybe like gun reform, that might be coming soon. But other than that, I mean, even police reform and stuff has been tossed out, right? We need them now. We like them now. But yeah, $6 trillion. So that's pretty good. It's a pretty good fucking amount of money. Obviously, yeah. So how much would it have been for the student loan debt?
I have no idea. I never calculated that, but it was.
They didn't say. They didn't put. Okay, they didn't put.
It was some ridiculous amount of money, though.
Would have had to have been, yeah. Would have had to at least be another trillion and a half.
If I remember correctly from my student debt video that I made a couple months ago, there are $1.9 trillion out in student debt alone in this country. It's either just short of $1 trillion or it's just short of $2 trillion, and I can't remember which one it is. But it's just short of one of those two numbers.
Right. Either way, it's up there. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why they what benefit would they get canceling student loan? I mean, I guess you have more money in your pocket to then give to the government in other ways. So
yeah,
I guess
that's the part of it too, is that if they cancel the student loans, then they don't have the problem anymore, and people have the upward mobility. That's a problem for them, is when people have upward mobility. Keep that in mind.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. No. They need the people to be stuck in especially in poverty. They love that. They got to have that because they need someone to pander to, for re-election, of course. And that's why it's always like, oh, the Republicans are trying to take this stuff away from you. So make sure you keep us in power so we can tax you into prosperity. That's what they do in Chicago. I used to go to the north side of Chicago all the time. That's a better area than like the south side, obviously, but it's still, still not great. But they have so many different taxes on like everything. I mean, there's a tax every 10 feet on the sidewalk when you're walking down the street. Like, there's just taxes everywhere. Um, and it's like it's no wonder people are staying poor. Like, of course, people
Yeah.
are staying poor because you're paying all this money in tax so that you can get some back in exchange, like for welfare. It's like it's just this is a self-perpetuating system that's just not going to stop.
All right, we got to keep
People
moving.
don't
We're
see
up
it.
against the clock here, and we've got just
Yeah,
a
yeah.
couple more topics that we have to get over. Plus, do some surprise stupidity and some live chat for you. So I do want to talk a bit about the fact that I want to talk about the continuing Trump saga. I know that I try not to talk about Trump on this program anymore because he's not the president anymore, and we can meme the other guy into it. But they are talking a bit more about him now. According to the Washington Post, there has now been a grand jury impaneled in order to hear the evidence and weigh the potential charges that could go against the Trump organization or Trump himself. Now, to read the reaction to all this, you would start to think that the jury is coming together and they're actually pulling him to trial. But of course, that's not what's happening for this. They've gone through the investigation. Cyrus Vance Jr. has gone through his investigation and decided that he needs to come forward and bring a charge forth, which prompted gems like this tweet from Mr. Sulu himself, George Takei, which reads, Trump really wants to tweet about the grand jury now convening in New York to investigate and consider indictments against him. He really, really wants to. Oh my.
Oh my. Yeah, oh my god.
But have you heard anything about the grand jury convening at this point?
I have not, no.
Okay.
I thought that wasn't the case, right?
No, they're bringing now
No.
to read
They
like
haven't
the
even brought up
Washington
charges.
Yeah, to read the Washington Post, like I have archived in the show notes document, you would think that this is just a grand jury specifically to go and hear the charges and hear the allegations against Trump. But actually, this is apparently, according to, like, I did some deeper research into this, and this is something they do every so often so they can get all the cases together and decide whether or not they can bring charges against people or not. So this isn't a specific thing to come back and say that, yes, we are specifically going to bring the grand jury up to investigate and to bring indictments against Trump. This is more of, okay, we're bringing a grand jury together and Trump is on the docket. So let's go see what happens with this. But one of the other things that came that was interesting about the fact, and I mean, this is all, it's all tax evasion. And for the most part, what we're seeing is charges for having somebody else and changing the value of property for tax assessment purposes.
Right.
Which everybody in fucking New York does.
Yeah, some pretty standard stuff, just like with the impeachments, right? Just finding standard corruption. You know, par for the course. Nothing to do with Trump, or nothing to do, like, nothing out of the ordinary.
But the big one for me was when I realized this morning and I got up and found out that Roger Stone was trending. And this tweet from the Palmer Report comes out and states that even Roger Stone now admits that Donald Trump's arrest is coming. I mean, that sounds pretty damning, doesn't it? Even if your political advisor says that you're about to get arrested for shit.
Yeah, it does sound pretty
damning. That wasn't exactly the case either. So I've got this one here to read from Yahoo News. They are quoting from Business Insider that says, Trump's longtime ally Roger Stone says the former president must prepare to be indicted for fraud in the coming weeks. Once again, another headline that sounds like it's pretty damning. But if you read down into this a little bit further, this comes from Roger Stone having an interview, I believe, on InfoWars. No, this was, it doesn't say which program it was, but he was saying it specifically to Alex Jones. Stone says, I would be shocked if they did not come forward with fabricated indictment for bank fraud or tax fraud against the former president. By Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance, Stone told the far-right InfoWars. I'm sorry. If they want to go after the president on fabricated charges, then we will establish this as a partisan witch hunt, the GOP strategist whom Trump pardoned last year told host Alex Jones. And then he goes on to point out the other part of this. Don't be surprised if the announcement comes at the exact same time that we learn the truth about the Maricopa County, Arizona. He said, don't be surprised because I see that coming. So it's not necessarily that Stone said that Trump is guilty and he's about to go to prison for what it is that he did. It's that he looks at this and this is probably going to be, for lack of a better pun, trumped up charges on Trump.
Right.
What's your take on this?
I don't know. Like, I just don't care about Trump or anything that's going on around him. He's completely fallen off of my radar now. I'm trying to look forward to like the future of politics and what's going on, what's going to happen to me in this country in the next 10 years, as opposed to like what, Trump's done. Like, he's done. Even if and even though nothing's going to happen to him, he's done. Like, I wish we could just move on. That's it.
Yeah.
I just want to move on.
So, I mean, there's that going on. And yeah, this is all going to be fabricated. This is going to be, and Razorfist pointed this out too in some of his videos, this is going to be a lot like the Cosby thing. Which Razor doesn't think that Cosby did it. And I don't know. I don't know enough about that case to say, yes, he did it or no, he didn't.
Right.
But a lot of this comes back to the point of somebody who's very, very powerful, who's in the media, who somebody can make a quick buck off of or do something else that goes along with the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I got just a little bit to talk on. Yeah, I got a little bit to talk about with China. Then we got surprise stupidity. Then we'll do some live chat and head out of here for the day. So it looks like at this point, the China lab leak theory is going up in full swing. Now the Biden Justice Department is going and checking in on this. Facebook is coming out and saying that you don't get banned for being a crazy fucking conspiracy theorist if you talk about the China lab leak. So, and Rand Paul even got some cheers this week when he passed an amendment banning gain-of-function research in China. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, but it seems like it's become accepted parlance that this research was going on in China. That's where the commie fucking coup came from.
Yeah.
And we can talk about this again. So what have you seen on this so far this week?
I think just the standard stuff. The Fauci perjuring himself before Congress under oath, which is always fun to watch. We saw, basically. Okay, so very basically, everyone owes Alex Jones a massive apology. Like, he has been right about like almost every single thing that he's ever brought up. Like it is funny. Like, just give it a long enough timeline, he is eventually proven correct. Like
he is the Nostradamus of alt media.
He really is. He's great. So yeah, that's where I'm going to go with it. Conspiracies are one thing, but there was always evidence for that from the beginning. There was a lot of evidence for the lab leak, but then of course you weren't allowed to talk about that, and you were racist and xenophobic. Xenophobic. Yeah, exactly. So, but now it's fine though. Now it's the official narrative, and if you don't believe that, I don't know if that's actually true. If you don't believe that, then you're a crazy conspiracy theory. No, it's just we knew that already.
Yeah,
but then you're not going to get the justification, that validation, right? They're not going to be like, oh, I guess you guys were right. That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, even the Donald came out with this, and he had the intelligence to go with this, and all it was when he came out with it was, oh, well, you're a racist. You just hate China. That's the only reason you're doing this.
Right. Which, I mean, the Chinese government is definitely worth hating. So.
Yeah, they do all kinds of weird shit over there, and it's a terrible. It's not a fun place to be.
Bunch of knuckleheads over there. Yeah. Bunch of big old goofballs over there.
Well, they have been having their own problems over in China, including with Taiwan, which, I mean, that's something to be expected. Styx talked about the fact that, and I didn't know this, I went back and researched this, that Taiwan is actually the legitimate government of China. but they were exiled when the communists came in and took
Yeah.
over. I didn't know that up until like Wednesday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And of course, I
Yeah.
heard one of my favorite creators say this, and okay, now I've got to go back and research this. But, and you know about this because I used this to test the audio back through. John Cena accidentally made the claim that Taiwan was a legitimate country, and then he got found the next morning, this was Thursday morning, making an apology to China in Mandarin on top of all of this. Let's have a listen to what that sounded like.
你好，中国，这是叫西娜。我必须说，现在，在速度与激情中，我做很多采访，很多，所以在一个采访，我有一个错误，所有人问我，如果我可以用中文，速度与激情中人给我很多资讯 information。所以很多采访，很多 information，我有一个错误，我必须说现在就是很重要，我爱更尊重中国跟中国人，我很抱歉对我的错误，对不起，我很抱歉，你必须了解，我。很爱，很尊重中国跟中国人，不好意思，再见。
Now, my Mandarin is a little bit rusty, but it sounds like John Cena just said, I have no spine, and please do with me whatever the hell it is that you want me to do.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, that's what he was saying. It actually sounded like someone who might be mocking Chinese, it's like doing like a mock Chinese language. But so wait, you said this was the day after, right?
Yes.
Like he said
this was Thursday.
He said the thing you can't say, and then the next day he was apologizing for a white boy, I'll say, pretty good Mandarin.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's certainly better than I can do. So my guess is he practiced that for hours. Like that would be hours of practicing that kind of flow and pronunciation of these different words, and he definitely said a few times, but it wasn't that bad. It just tells me that he really had it down, right? He was really practicing that. That's really weird. Who called him up immediately was like, you need to apologize in Mandarin?
Well, that's one of the things that goes with that is the fact that he went off and he apologized, man. And it looks like I think he was doing a Fast and the Furious movie in China at the time too, so that's part of the reason. So I'm guessing I'm guessing that was done under duress. Is what I'm getting out of this.
Okay, well that makes more sense though on his ability to kind of speak Mandarin with some kind of proficiency. If he's been in China for months or whatever, for a few months or whatever it is. That makes sense. You might pick something up.
Yeah.
So that makes more sense. But yeah, definitely. What you didn't see is the guy behind the camera and holding the gun. Like you didn't see that part.
Yeah, that was definitely one that was done under duress.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I've got that, and I've got a little bit of. I couldn't decide, so I've got two. Do you want the political one with AOC or the political one with California?
Let's start with AOC.
Let's start with AOC? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do that. All right. So, the tweet that came with this particular video that we're about to watch here says, reminder not to pay attention to grift candidates who are too stupid to realize that they are running from a different state than the person who they are trying to run against. So this video is from Alex Stovall for Congress, who tweets out, my name is Alex Stovall. I am a Republican. I'm 26. I'm a chaplain. I'm pro-Second Amendment. I'm America First. Now I'm running for Congress to take on AOC. Share this to spread the word. But, watch the video. And I know you'll have to look at the second screen for this, and you'll be 10 seconds delayed. But watch the video and tell me what you can see that's wrong with him trying to run against AOC. Let's get that up, and let's have a look.
Socialists like AOC hate two things, God and America. I'm Alex Stovall, a 26-year-old Army officer chaplain, running to stop AOC and her cronies from taking over our Congress and our country. I don't fight for this country to watch it get taken over by AOC, and I need your help to flip this seat and stop her corruption of our Congress. To stop AOC and her cronies, we gotta fight fire with fire. That's why I'm running to become the youngest black Republican congressman in U.S. history. I will be the perfect voice to cut through their BS. Can you contribute $26 right now? We need your contributions to help me get the word out about my campaign to restore faith, family, and freedom to our country. Together, we will take back Congress for the people in 2022 and save our country. Thank you, and God bless America.
Did you catch it?
Well, he's not in the right district, right?
He's not in the right state.
The right state. I didn't see what state it was.
Now, yeah, you can see the little outline of the state sitting back behind his name on the ones. Yes, he is running from Arizona to take on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
If I want to try and be charitable to him, so I have a couple questions.
Okay.
Is the seat that he's running for in Arizona, is that a Democrat currently?
I don't know.
Because if it is, I get what he's trying to go for, and I get why it's interpreted as him running for AOC's seat specifically. But I think what he means is, if what I'm thinking is true, and that the seat that he's running for is Democrat right now, that's what he's saying. Well, let's flip this seat, and then so he's going to challenge her personally in. That's I'm trying to be charitable, and because there's no way that was edited, right? That was very well edited. That was polished. There's no way someone didn't catch that and be like, "Hey, guy, you're not, you're putting the wrong district, and your whole message is off." So I think it was just poorly messaged, but I don't think he meant he's running for AOC's seat.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's that. I'm looking right now to see. Looks like the seat that he's running for is in Maricopa County, and you actually might be correct on that because it looks like that is a D+9 district. And Greg Stanton is, as a Democrat, is the current occupant of the seat, that seat. So your charity is not wrong on that. You do bring up a good point off that, but even still, I mean, and
it should have been more clear for sure. What he meant. It should have been more clear what he meant, for sure.
Well, and to looking through the comments, one of the first ones, and this because her and I follow each other, is Olivia Rondeau, she was on the charity stream, and she's been on the audio platforms for us as well because she had Elaine on. Says your entire campaign seems to be centered around AOC, who's across the country, and you're begging for donations without even addressing any of your potential constituents' policy points. No one cares to vote in the youngest black Republican when he's unoriginal. At which point the Stovall campaign has promptly blocked her.
She made too good of a point, because that was actually a really good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Can you donate $26 to help him take on AOC from across the country?
No. Because he's across the country from me, so why would I? Yeah, no. Sorry, guy.
All right. And if you bring up the screen one more time, in about 10 seconds, you're going to see the other picture pop up on the screen over here that goes with this article that I'm going to read you from the Daily Wire. You know it's going to be good if it's coming from the Daily Wire.
That's right.
California Democrat and top gun control advocate thought plastic BB gun packaging held semi-automatic pistol.
I saw this. Yeah, I saw this. Oh my god!
Democratic California lawmaker.
Go ahead.
A Democratic California lawmaker and leading advocate for gun control mistook the discarded plastic packaging of a BB gun as having contained a real firearm on Sunday, and took to social media to recount his disturbing experience. California State Assembly member David Hsu was mocked on Twitter after he posted a photo of what he said was the discarded packaging of a semi-automatic, but it was in fact the packaging for a Glock 19 semi-automatic airsoft BB gun. And the Lost Legionnaire tweets out, "Remember not to litter your BB gun packages, folks. A California assemblyman might see it and start grandstanding." Which I thought was funny.
Funny.
So David Hsu deleted the tweet that came with this, and his tweet said, as we said, finding the discarded packaging of a semi-automatic on a leisurely weekend walk was disturbing, particularly during this month's surge in gun violence in San Francisco. God damn, I wish that my guns came that easily in that easy a packaging.
Yeah, like this is the world libertarians want. Like,
yeah, exactly.
We want it to be that easy. Want it to be that easy to get a gun. Should be able to go down to Walmart and just pick it off the rack and it's like, all right.
The ATF should be a convenience store.
That's right.
That's my dream.
Oh hell yeah! Just go in there, buy some liquor, get some, pick up some cigarettes, and get a new Glock right out of the package.
Yeah, it really should be that easy, but it's not that easy. And the people who are making the gun laws, A, they know nothing about guns, and B, they know nothing about the laws that are already in the books, and they want to make more.
Something. Somehow they should have been making policy decisions when they don't know anything about the subject matter. It's the dumbest thing ever. Like, I thought we were supposed to listen to the experts, right? I mean, isn't that something that we're told? Listen to the experts, follow the science.
I think it's the experts when they do what the Democrats want. Otherwise, they don't.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Well, be careful with your...
I was going to say, they've always been like, oh yeah, I've talked to gun owners and they're like, they all agree with me that there should be more, gun control. It's like, yeah, okay. I'm sure you have.
That's a show. That's all I got.
Nice.
We got through it all. All right, let me see what's going on in the live chat here, and we'll head on out of here for the day. Let's see. Where the fuck did I leave off? Timmy the Tweaker. That's where I left off. Ben Wild says Nickelback is a weapon of war.
That's true.
Spartan says these are mostly peaceful weapons.
Indeed.
Backpedaling, that's pure foot and mouth. Oh, when we were listening to Chipman talk. Spartan 0000 Superior 1 says ATF against true freedom. Seawell says, yeah, he was going on with what we were saying about the ammo is, other than 22, pretty much none are smaller than 223.
Right.
Ben Wild says the 17 caliber Hornet, which I've never heard of.
I've never heard of that either. But the chances are neither have they then. So that might be a safe round. Round might escape scrutiny.
Seawell says, hell, pistol caliber carbines would fall under that definition as well, and they shoot 9mm.
Yeah. Yep.
Seawell says select fires have been effectively banned for private sale since 1986.
Yep.
That could be stretched to include the M1 Garand.
Yeah, well, it was a weapon of war.
Yeah. He says it doesn't have a detachable magazine, but it has a clip system to allow for rapid loading, which we were on your show when we discovered what the difference was between those two.
Yeah, that's true.
Because didn't you look it up or something?
I had to, yeah, because we were having some kind of disagreement about that, and I was like, let's go to Almighty Google and figure out who's right.
And now you're on a list.
Me.
And now you're on a list.
I'm probably on several.
Sewell brings up a good point, though. As the ATF director, he could possibly lead to the NFA being declared unconstitutional.
I doubt it. I don't think he would want to do that. I mean, he could do that. I just don't think
he could lead to it. He wouldn't do it himself, but he could lead to it by banning excessively way too many firearms.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe. That's true. That's fair. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I doubt it, though. I doubt it'll happen.
Sewell says re-election is going to be rough for anti-Trump Republicans. Psych Major says, are you reading this? What's your take on the Texas Congress? I don't know enough about the Texas Congress to opine on that. Do you guys think the election was stolen? No, I do not. Most secure, freest, and fairest election in history.
That's right. Chairman Biden is the one and only legitimate leader of this country. May he and his progeny live on forever in eternity, in glory.
There was this narrative that the 2020 election was stolen. Are you on board with this narrative?
Of course not.
Robomax224 is here, says, hello, hope you're okay. Seawall says, Psych, stop dropping bait to try to get the show shut down.
Yeah, he really is. He's really dropping bait.
Seawall says, that's a honk.
That is a honk.
Honk, honk. Are you a part of that group, though, who thinks that Trump is still president?
No, that's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, even if we did get to that point where somewhere in a simulation there was actually fraud in the 2020 election, in a simulation somewhere, not, of course, in real life.
Right.
In spite of that, as soon as he put the hand on the Bible, Trump's term is ended. He's not the president anymore.
Right.
And if Biden gets impeached and has to take Kamala with him because they ran on the same ticket, so they'd be guilty of the same crime, then we'd have President Pelosi. We wouldn't get Trump back.
Yeah, exactly. Trump's not going to be president again, guys. I'm sorry.
Well, he might be in 2024.
I doubt. I don't think so. I don't think so. He's been too far out of the limelight. He doesn't have his Twitter account anymore. He's not having like daily press briefings anymore. Like the only thing that's coming out about him is about like his criminal trials or whatever, his like little whatever kind of charges they're trying to bring up against him, and everything's been bad. He has no recourse. He has no way to like get his message out to people at the moment. So I don't think that he's gonna be able to come back. I think if people are too fatigued from his 4 years of just constant, attacks in the media and stuff, that they just don't want him back. I don't think people want him back. Obviously, some people, but the majority, I don't think want him back. And then, of course, that might be the first time that there's ever election fraud to prevent him from being president again. So you have to think of that too.
Yep.
I just don't
Apparently,
think it's a long shot.
Apparently, there was a KKK ball in 1999, and Kimmy Schmidt was crowned the queen of that ball. I'm just finding that out. The Netflix show Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Huh.
Apparently, she was in a KKK ball in 1999. Well, we'll be reading about that on Contemporary in the morning.
Yeah. Okay. Weird. I don't know who that is. It sounds familiar. The name sounds familiar, but
yeah,
I don't know.
She was in Parks and Rec, I think, too. She was 30 Rock. She was the red-haired girl. I think that's what it was.
Okay.
Oh, she was in one of those NBC stupid shows. All right. Seawall says, legally and constitutionally, Biden is the president as the election has been certified.
Right.
Spartan says Joe Biden's dream job was ice cream truck driver because, kids.
Yeah, that's true.
Then he says, if you cancel student loans, you punish people who paid off their loans. And that's actually all the live chat we have. So everyone must have dropped off after the ice cream story. But regardless.
It scared them away.
We got to get out of here.
Yep.
The stream quality improved, though, at least. We're only dropping 28% of the frames instead of 33.
That's an improvement.
But, well, we'll figure out what's going on with that and what that means and what that is going forward. But it's time to go. So, Thanks everybody who came by and chatted and hung out in the live chat. The lurkers, the listeners, everybody else who came out, and whoever sat on Elaine's page on the Facebook side and watched the stream without Elaine as well. Thanks for coming in and hanging out. I will be back here in the morning for more contemporary because it's morning and we've got news to talk about, and it's a day that ends in Y. So I'll be back here doing some work as well. Look forward to that. Come back and hang out with me. My guest co-host tonight will be on Fill in the Gap later on tonight, correct? That'll be at 8:30 Central Time, so go back over there and hang out with them and go watch some funny videos. And I think I've got one in there to wait and see. I don't know if you guys played it or not, but I think I do have one in there, so go and check that out. Go and hang out with them. They're great people. They're great friends of mine, and they're a great part of the Freedom Scoop Media Group as well. Go and check us out. Pardon our dust. We are still under construction on the Freedom Scoop Media Group, but you can still go back and check out great shows such as The Generational Gap, The Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Breckenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, and The Freckles and Britt Show. Go check them out, and once we get back up and running, you'll have great ways to go back and directly support them through the website as well, so go and check that out. And if you're just catching them now, you want to go catch up to the rest of the show, you can catch us back on demand once it processes over on YouTube and over on BitChute.com or the audio platforms, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify. Go check them out over there. It's a great time. Go and hang out with them. And if you're on iTunes, leave us that 5-star rating and a good review. That helps us move up the charts, helps us overcome Apple's algorithms. And, well, if you just can't get enough of us as well, you can follow me over on Twitter. That's at EdsBlog Twitter with one in place of the I. My wonderful guest is at the Gen Gap P. Go and bookmark both of those pages and go and follow the both of them as well. And you can find me on numerous other platforms. You can find linked in the description. So if you just can't get enough, go back and come back and hang out. The Discord, the Gilded, Subscribestar, Buy Me a Coffee, all kinds of different great platforms where you can go back and find. John, why don't you tell them where they can go and find you?
Yes, we are on YouTube, DLive, and Trovo, although we mostly push the YouTube. So we're on YouTube at not the Gen Gap, that's my Twitter. The Generational Gap is our channel on YouTube. Same with DLive and Trovo. Our Twitter, like I said, is at the Gen Gap P. Then we have a Discord server as well. So if you go onto any of our videos, the link to the Discord server will be there. Our Discord server is a lot of fun, a lot of cool people in there, and it's where we do funny video submissions. So if you want to have your videos be shown on our Monday night show, you can put them there. And yeah, it's just a great time.
All right. And with that, I'm going to leave the final words of never take the words of bloggers, podcasters, or journalists as gospel. Find all the facts and draw your own conclusions. John, why don't you leave them out with some final words?
I hate when you do that to me. Yes, I have final words. Yes, just 3. Those are my final words.
All right. Well, take care, everyone. Have a good night.
Yeah, see you guys.